Hey, thanks for watching. My name is Justin Lang, AKA Justincredible. I am an arts ambassador and creative arts teacher here at ACA, Atlantic Center for the Arts. And today we are doing our final video in our web series entitled Creativity and Wellness with Justincredible. We're gonna explore how art can be used for healthy living and wellness. For those just tuning in, our first video was on forgiveness through art. Our second video was expressing self-love through art. And now our final video today, we're gonna be talking about processing trauma through art. Now, before we get into today's subject, some of the past themes may still clash and still may overlap because we're talking about the psyche, we're talking about relationships, we're talking about arts, creativity, healing, a lot of the same concepts. One huge disclaimer is I'm not an expert in life. I do not have all of the answers for every single one of these topics. I know enough to know that I don't know everything. This is all of the wisdom that I've gathered along the way in my journey, and I'm sharing it with you. Hopefully you all will do the same in the comments section. So if there's any links, any YouTube videos, any articles that you feel like are on the same topic, if they're appropriate and if they blend in with art and creativity, please put them in there. Again, we want to build an online community. We want to keep the dialogue going here at ACA. So with that being said, let's get into the topic. First point that I would like to share is that you are not alone. You'd be surprised on how many people have experienced the trauma that you have experienced and are actually currently experiencing exactly what you're experiencing. Maybe some different nuances, but in general, the same type of trauma. I believe that communities, just like what we're trying to get going here in the comment section, it breeds some comfort knowing that you're not alone. Community builds strength. As creatives, we have open mics and different types of shows and different arenas that we congregate in, and I think it is very healthy to just sit back and listen to people process their trauma, whether they're doing a poem, whether they're doing a song, whether they're reading a book, or if they're dancing out something that's choreographed. I think it's very important to pay attention because maybe they'll say something, maybe one line, maybe one interpretation can give you a new perspective, maybe some new wisdom. Maybe it will share a truth with you about your trauma that will help you process it in a more healthy way. Myself, I like to listen to a lot of different poets. Spoken word poetry is really, really great for me as far as like healing and getting new perspectives. So the Stravers Row, Dean's List album, that is untouchable to me. It's priceless. Again, it's very comforting. It's very empowering to have a community, and you just never know. Sometimes you'll be very surprised at the people who have survived or are surviving the things that you have experienced or the things that you are currently experiencing. You are not alone. Remember that. The second suggestion that I may add is to accept the pain, admit the pain without beating yourself up. I know for a lot of us, sometimes it's been so long, sometimes some of us have never even admitted what actually happened to us. And we want to block that out. We want to repress those memories. Sometimes it's truly dark, it's truly painful, and just saying it out loud makes it feel super vulnerable. There's almost a fear and intimidation that something bad has happened to you and you don't even want to admit it. But there is strength, there is freedom in regularly being able to talk about what happened to you and just break it down exactly what happened to you. Maybe in that situation you had no control, but you do have control on whether you can actually speak about it and to admit the pain. I think that promotes growth and it promotes healing. That's another reason why I believe therapy is priceless. It's because these individuals, this is what they study, this is what they've researched, this is what they do for a living, and their job is just to make sure that you are processing your trauma. You're just processing life in a healthy way, mentally, emotionally. They're making sure that you are moving at your pace to gather whatever control you can and deal with the things that you don't have control over. So I think it's very powerful. It promotes healing a ton. and it promotes growth. Just to be able to admit and to accept what has happened, to at least just break it down. The more you can regularly talk about it without getting emotionally unstable, I think that's telling you that you're healing and you're on a right path of growth. Another suggestion would be to, and this is gonna sound very familiar from our forgiveness video, get it out. Express it, get it out however you can get it out, with your talents, with your gifts, with your skills, with your craft, however you got to do it, whether it's writing it out, spoken word poetry it out, rapping it out, choreographing it out, screenwriting it out, screenplaying it out, whether it's painting it out, drawing it out, sculpting it out, however you have to get it out, express what happened, express your trauma through your arts, through your gifting. There's something liberating, it's something empowering to just declare, this is what happened to me, but at the same time, I'm still here, I survived. You're telling your story. You have the authority to tell your own story. You have the authority to express what happened to you. Other people can say whatever, but this is you. You're telling your own story. Something strengthening about that, something empowering. And I hope that helped. Next point, how do I grow from this? Looking back, hindsight is 20/20. While you're processing your trauma, looking back, you can say, hey, what part did I play in this situation? If there is a part that you did play. You could have been an enabler to something. You could have just been ignorant to something. You could have not been aware of something. You could be naive to something. And now you're educated, now you're informed, now you're more aware. And so now you have this moving forward. And again, I'm not victim shaming at all. I'm just saying that there are always lessons that can be learned or things that you can make adjustments in, especially when it comes to things that you can control. So what part did I play in this? If you were an active role, if you speak to a counselor, something happened and you speaking to a friend and they give you some advice, oh wow, I could do this, I can make this adjustment moving forward, and it will reduce the likeliness of this trauma to happen to me again. Maybe you can reduce that impact. You can also think, what adjustments can I make moving forward in life? Because you're still here. Whatever happened to you, that happened to you. Now in the present and the future, you have an opportunity to make adjustments moving forward. So my biggest suggestion is to not wallow in self-pity. It's a dark place, it's quicksand, you pretty much get nowhere there. It's not gonna help your situation whatsoever, and it's not gonna help the people around you. Please, 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 it's tempting, it's very tempting, but try your best not to wallow in your own self-pity. You are not the perpetual victim forever. You have control over a lot of aspects of your life. Maybe not everything. I don't believe that we have control over every aspect of our lives, but we do have some control, and you figuring out what parts you can control and you taking responsibility for that and making the adjustments, I think that builds strength, that builds confidence, and I think that would lead to less similar trauma at that same intensity. Now here's something tricky when you're processing trauma and you're figuring out how to grow from something. In some cases, you can be a victim and an offender at the same time. I'm not trying to gaslight you. You can be suffering from something or being impacted by something or someone in a negative way, and at the same time be doing damage to someone else as well, whether that's knowingly or unknowingly. In that case, when it's appropriate, when it's applicable, I believe, like always, try to do your best to make amends wherever you can. So I think that has a huge part in processing trauma and moving on in a healthy way. If it's a situation where you're the victim of something negative and at the same time you are an offender in some way to someone else, try to make amends as best as you can. Lastly, I'm going to demonstrate a piece of art that has to deal with processing trauma. It hits some of those previous points that I was speaking to you all about. I believe that you all can do the same. You've already gotten it out. You've already expressed it with your gifts and talents. Now I want you all to take it to another level and possibly use some of those bullet points, or maybe all of the bullet points as guidelines to sharpen your piece of art. So this is one of those situations where someone is more of an offender than a victim. But nevertheless, this is one of those situations. Overall, this is trauma on a family unit. It's entitled Not Ashamed, or Not Ashamed of My Past. Here we go. If you were looking from the outside, it would appear from the surface that this home wasn't flooded with tears and curses. But I make it clear through bars, hooks, and verses what went on here. These scars look disturbing. Observe him a little bit before 9th grade. A little handsome kid, had an eye fade. He was insecure, couldn't defend his cause, so every insult cut him like a knife blade. Was raised right, took some shortcuts, following friends. Disappointed, but yet still bottled it in. Mom and pops working overtime, didn't see the personality, the sort of form, and over time, him and his girl broke up. He was doped up out of his mind. Sure enough, enemies showed up. I remember those days so notorious. Thank God he got out of there so victorious. Every flick of my tongue was similar to the click of a gun. You wouldn't believe half the things I would say in my house. Running around with a live grenade in my mouth, throwing up, blowing up. But every Sunday, put on an act, a young hypocrite growing up, good at faking them out. I would live one way one day, another way another day. Start an argument, leave, come back, run away. I would run a race, but stop at Greg's. 2 shots to the head, rolling up the smoke, a blunt, spent the whole summer blazed. Man, I was in my dumbest stage. I was having fun with rage. Pops was reading one thing, Mama's on another page. Come to think about it, this story could have been on a cover page. Yeah, I could have been a Marvin Gaye, but thanks to God's grace, your boy Jay Lang is spitting bars today. Somebody cleanse my sins and bore my sorrows. Back then, I was broken hearted, numb and hollow. I thought my life was lovely, though it was ugly. But somebody loved me before I loved me. Now, could you hear the acceptance? Could you see the admission of pain and the admission of guilt? Were there times that you could see that I was the main emotional and verbal offender, but at some points you can hear that I was suffering from addiction and low self-esteem? Were the lyrics raw and expressive? Did you hear the nitty-gritty details of the trauma? Did you see or did you hear times that I could look back and see that I can make an adjustment in a certain area moving forward in life? If that's the case, you can do it too. I believe you can. I believe that it will help you. I do believe that it will promote growth and healing. So go ahead, do it. I'm not playing. Do it. So as we wrap up, processing trauma through art, basically we touched on just the fact that you're not alone. There is community. Second thing is you need to accept and admit the pain, accept what actually happened, break that down, be able to talk about it regularly. Third thing is making sure that you just get it out and you express what happened in whatever way that you want to. There's no right or wrong way to express yourself with art. Use your craft, use your gifting. Fourth was, how do we grow from this? Looking back, are there adjustments that we can make moving forward? With that being said, again, I want to make this big disclaimer that I am not an expert in life. I do not have the answers to everything that has to deal with trauma or the topics that we just discussed in our whole web series. I know enough to know that I don't know everything, and the little that I do know and the wisdom that I have gathered along this journey of mine in life so far, I want to share that with you. Hopefully it helps. And again, I want you all to continue to do this in the comment section. Any links, any articles, any YouTube videos that you feel are appropriate that are on the topics that we have been discussing in this web series. And if it promotes healthy living, if it promotes wellness and creativity to spark conversation, put it down there in the comment section. Please do not be shy. Also, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. I'm not playing. I love you. Again, my name is Justin Lang, AKA Justincredible. I am an arts ambassador and creative arts teacher here at ACA, Atlantic Center for the Arts. And this is Creativity and Wellness with Justincredible. We out.